Hi Geometry! So this is a video that's going to go over how to find the area of circles and the volume of cylinders. And so before we talk about volume, we need to figure out how to find the area of the base of a cylinder, which is a circle. And so the formula for area of a circle is area is equal to pi r squared. So the r stands for radius, and pi is a constant value. We get pi by typing it into our calculator. It is irrational, so it goes on and on forever. So we don't want to just use 3.14 to approximate it, because the decimal places go a lot longer, like infinitely longer than that. So you would type the pi button into your calculator. And so the first problem that we're going to do is we are going to find the area of this circle here. And this circle, they're actually giving us the diameter and not the radius. So first we have to calculate the radius because the diameter is equal to 25, which means the radius is going to be equal to 12.5. And that's because we divide by 2, and if we just find the radius, it's half of the diameter. So that's 12.5. For number 2, notice they already give you the radius, so you don't have to divide it by 2. Next, we're going to use the formula for area. So this is going to be area is equal to pi times 12.5 squared. And so now we're going to calculate what 12.5 squared is. And so I'm going to open up Desmos. When I type 12.5 squared, I get 156.25. So that's just the radius squared. And so now I'm going to go back into the document and I'm going to write for my exact answer 156.25 pi. Because the pi didn't get multiplied to the r squared yet. And that's because in order for it to be exact, we need to just write pi as is, because pi goes on and on forever. And so because it's irrational, we have to include it without trying to round that value. And so it's 156.25 pi feet squared. And then we would go ahead and open up Desmos again, and we would multiply this now by pi, or you can just type pi right next to it, and this will calculate it for you. And so it's going to be approximately 490.87 feet squared. So 490.87 feet squared. Okay, so now I want you guys to try number 2 on your own. And now we're going to do number 3. So for number 3, it says find the radius of the circle with an area of 225 pi. So for this, we know the area formula. Area is equal to pi r squared. I know the area. The area is 225 pi. And that's going to be equal to pi r squared. So here I can divide both sides by pi, and the pi's wind up canceling each other out because you're dividing pi by pi. So then we're left with r squared is equal to 225. And then when I take the square root of both sides, I get r is equal to plus or minus 15. But then since r is only a radius, then it really should just be positive 15 and not negative 15. So your final exact answer would be 15, and that's inches. Not inches squared, just inches. And then there would be no approximate answer, because 15 is exactly the answer. Okay, so now try number 4 on your own.
Okay, so to find the volume of a cylinder, it is very similar to finding the volume of a prism. Cylinders and prisms both have 2 bases. The difference is that in a prism, the 2 bases are polygons, whereas in a cylinder, the 2 bases are circles. So for both cylinders and prisms, to find the volume, you're going to take the area of one of the bases and multiply it by the height. In a cylinder, the base is a circle. So the area of a circle is the formula pi r squared. And then we're going to multiply that by h, which is the height of the cylinder. Remember that the height of the cylinder is the distance between the two circular bases. Okay, so going to problem number 1, we are going to find the volume of the cylinder and give an exact answer and an approximate answer rounded to 2 decimal places. So the volume formula that we just said was pi r squared times h. The radius of this cylinder is 5, because 5 is the radius of one of the circular bases. So I'm going to plug in 5 for r, and then we're going to multiply that by the height of the cylinder, which is 14 here, because that's the distance between the two circular bases. Okay, so now all we're going to do is just simplify this. So 5 squared is 25 pi times 14, which means that the exact answer is going to be 25 times 14 is 350. So the exact volume of this cylinder is 350 pi, and the units are meters, and since this is volume, it's meters cubed. That's the exact answer. To get the approximate answer, we're going to actually plug pi into the calculator. Now, I'm not going to approximate pi. I'm not going to use 3.14. We actually want to use the pi button to get as accurate of an answer as possible. Okay, so the approximate answer is 1099.56 meters cubed. And that is the exact and approximate answer. Again, this is a cylinder, so we are going to use the same formula. The volume equals pi r squared h. Now this time they gave us 14, and 14 is the diameter of the cylinder. So to find the radius of the cylinder, we're going to take that diameter and we're going to cut it in half. So 14 divided by 2 means that the radius is 7. So the volume is pi times 7 squared times the height, 13, because that's the distance between the two circular bases. 7 squared is 49 pi times 13 gives us an exact volume of 637 pi kilometers cubed. And now I can plug in 637 pi into my calculator to get the approximate answer, which is 2001.19 kilometers cubed. Okay, so you will try number 4 on your own. Number 5 says a cylinder has a volume of 1,377 pi centimeters cubed and a height of 17. Find the radius of the cylinder. So this problem's a little bit different because they're asking you to find the radius and they're giving you the volume and the height. So we know that the volume formula for a cylinder is pi r squared h. And let's plug in everything we know. We know that the volume is 1,377 pi. So let's plug that in for V. This is our volume. 1,377 pi. And then we know the height is 17 centimeters. So let's plug that in for H. So pi r squared times 17. Okay, so now we're just going to solve for r since that's our only variable here. So what I want to do is I want to divide both sides by 17. And not only do I want to divide by 17, I can also divide by pi. So 1,377 divided by 17. Now you'll notice that the pi's are going to cancel out on the left side and the right side. And then on the right side, the 17 will cancel out also. So that means that the left side is 81, and on the right side, we are just left with r squared. So how do we get rid of a squared? Well, we take the square root. So we're going to take the square root of the left side and the right side. So r is positive or negative 9, because the square root of 81 is positive or negative 9. Since we're talking about the radius of a cylinder, the radius can never be negative. So the only radius for this problem is going to be positive 9 centimeters. Okay, you will be trying problem number 6 on your own.